Hi, I'm fifth-year architecture student Elijah Credo, and this is my video presentation for a proposed Verna Facility in Caloocan, a study on Dementia Centered Approach in Geriatric Care Design and Planning. What is dementia? Dementia is not a single disease. Rather, it is an umbrella term for loss of memory and other thinking abilities severe enough to interfere with daily life. The diseases can range from Alzheimer's to vascular to frontotemporal and even mixed, meaning dementia from multiple diseases. The 2018 Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, conducted by medical professionals from St. Luke's and the Danish Dementia Research Center, estimated that 10.6% of the Philippines' elderly population is afflicted by some sort of dementia. That's around 700,000 elders. However, these diseases are still not addressed properly by the local population, with various misconceptions, such as equaling dementia to being senile, treating it as another case of getting crazy, or relegating it as a normal part of aging. This is reflected in how there are only around 25,000 reported cases from DOH's 2016 health statistics, a rate of 350 100,000 people. Introducing the Dementia Village. It is an innovative take on dementia care employing reminiscence therapy, relying on the stimulation given by the environment to help the patients deal with their disease and its symptoms. Although dementia doesn't have a cure, these villages help raise the quality of life for the residents, which then helps keep the disease from getting worse. La Verna Aged Care is an institution in Marikina and spearheaded by Dr. Miguel Ramos Jr. It is the very first dementia village in the Philippines. It bases its care model from the first dementia village in the world, the Hogaway. The Hogaway care model was developed by the Dutch. It then gained popularity during the recent decade and has now multiple variants across the globe, in the US, UK, South America, and even here in Asia. The Dementia Village concept was created to give those with dementia a chance to still have a normal daily life, and not be confined within hospital walls where they will slowly succumb to the illness due to the lack of stimulation. A few notable advantages of these villages are: Number 1. Increased physical activity levels of residents, especially those in long-term care. Number 2. Decrease in antipsychotic medication use, from an average of 50% to only 12% when admitted to a dementia village. Number 3. Reduction of boredom and helplessness, and also reduced levels of depression and anxiety. Number 4. Reduced cases of patients getting bedridden, having to use a catheter, and pressure ulcers. Incontinence and restraint use levels are also found to be on the same level as conventional nursing homes. Lastly, number 5. Several reports noted improvement in social engagement, less unintended weight loss, fewer falls. Staffs are also less likely to indulge in absences, and an overall improved staff and family satisfaction. Elder care is still stigmatized in the country due to the values and culture held by Filipinos. Traditions state that family is to take care of their own. This resulted in a commonality of extended families, with the children taking care of their elderly parents at home while trying to raise their own family. It is frowned upon to place their aging family members in a medical facility, as it is seen as disrespectful and lazy. In an online medical directory, there are only 126 entries for nursing homes in the Philippines, 54 of which is located in the NCR, where even some cities have no entries at all. As of present, there is no huge change in trends surrounding elderly care in the country. Filipinos are still holding fast onto traditions. However, a 2019 study showed a higher predisposition to institutional facilities among the older population. Around 8 out of 10 senior citizens approve the idea of homes for the aged being more accessible in the country. This is because the local culture gives leeway for the burden of difficult situations such as abandoned elders, complex disabilities, or grave illnesses. Many nursing homes in the country focuses on disabilities and illnesses rather than general care. Out of the 54 nursing homes in the NCR, more than half cater to or even exclusively specializes in special cases, especially mental decline. This is what the project aims to focus on, so let's look for a site location. Caloocan City, Metro Manila is a first-class highly urbanized city estimated to house around 1.6 million people according to the 2015 census. making it the fourth most populous city in the Philippines. Caloocan ranks third for most elderly population at 56,547, Quezon City at 117,419, and Manila at 71,495 ranks first and second respectively. However, in terms of elderly to population ratio, Caloocan only ranks 15th, with the elderly occupying only 3.57% of the population. San Juan ranks first with 5.46%, followed by Pateros with 5.14%, but this can be attributed to the low population count in these cities. The project site can be found along Saranay Road in Barangay 171, Caloocan City. It is a 37,500 square meter lot located in the residential zone. Here's a short SWOT analysis. Strengths. The site is located in a safe neighborhood and away from natural hazards such as flood-prone areas nor fault lines. It is mainly surrounded by subdivisions, Princetown and Bankers to the north, Kingstown to the west and south, and Congress to the east. The project fits with the land zoning and local aesthetic. It also has direct access to urban centers through the Congressional Road exit which connects to Camarine Road, giving it access to many town centers in the area, notably Vicas directly south, Novaliches Bayan further south, and Zabarte Town Center further north. Additionally, the multiple educational institutions in the area can be a reliable worker pool for the project. Weaknesses. The site's location is not in walking distance from urban centers, requiring transportation to reach the location. PUJs are also scarce in the area, with tricycles, taxis, or private vehicles being the only reliable modes of transport. The road leading up to the site is also subject to heavy traffic during peak hours, such as 7 a.m. in the morning or 7 p.m. in the evening. Opportunities. The residential nature of the area gives the project more prospective clients, as the elderly demographic there is projected to grow higher in the following years. The economy in the area is also steadily rising. Threats. The city is still growing. Future zoning changes may cause problems to the project. The local CLUP doesn't even have a specific future zoning plan for the area. The culture can also prove to be difficult in terms of the project's success, with the Filipino culture often disapproving elderly homes. Now, nursing homes are not strictly regulated in the Philippines, as it hasn't had a stable footing in the local culture. This means that the project will have to mainly rely on the National Building Code of the Philippines and the Accessibility Law, while also considering the fire, electrical, and plumbing codes of the Philippines, the DOH Manual and Technical Guidelines, and related nursing home design guidelines from other countries. Let us tackle the project itself, starting with the framework of the structure, the building systems. These are the critical systems of the facility, entities dependent on one another to operate and to help the whole function properly. These are akin to the multiple organ systems the human body possesses that allows it to move and function. The environmental system. The setup, which considers environmental impact. This system considers two principles. Number 1. Material efficiency. We obtain our materials directly from our surroundings. Efficient material sourcing and use is a great way to reduce environmental impact. With regards to the project, it promotes sustainability by using sustainable wood, rapidly renewable materials such as straw, cotton, bamboo, cork, etc., and high-performance concrete. Number 2. Energy efficiency. By using less energy, the facility can eliminate unnecessary energy wastes, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and lower overall costs. A simple way to achieve this is by incorporating a passive cooling system in the design, which operates by capitalizing on natural energy to reduce the building's heat gain, maximizing airflow, and using on-site heat sinks to cool down the structure without being reliant on mechanical systems. The structural system. This system is essentially the skeleton of the structure. The facility will be employing the simplest and most reliable system, which is the skeleton structure system, otherwise known as the beam and column system, using reinforced concrete with rigid connections for the foundation, column, and beams, and reinforced masonry for the walls and slab. The utility system. It is probably the most extensive and complex system inside of a structure. It is composed of multiple networks, each depending on one another to do its job, making it a very important aspect of building design. This is why there is a separate profession dealing for each of these systems, as these are not only very complex systems, but because they are also tailor-made for the project. Here is a rundown on the utility system of the project. Number 1. The plumbing and sanitary system. There are 5 major points within the system. First, the water supply system must be secure and clean to prevent outbreaks within the facility. This includes installing a reverse osmosis system on site, a gate between the local water supplier and the facility that will filter, clean, and disinfect every cubic meter of H2O that will pass through it. Second, as an emergency water supply, a 7,500-liter water tank is to be provided for every residential unit for critical functions should a water outage occur. Third, as a means of wastewater management, a central system of sewage pipes will bring all wastewater to a central underground location for treatment and disposal. Fourth, for rainwater management, stormwater and rainwater will be collected, treated, and repurposed for non-potable use such as gardening, toilet flushing, and etc. Fifth, the waste disposal system of the facility will be composed of waste cubicles conveniently stationed throughout every space, where they will be collected after hours into a central waste disposal room for sorting and pickup. Number 2. Electrical and mechanical. There are 3 major points within this system. First, the electrical system will be supplied by the local electricity supplier, and the whole system is subject to semi-annual inspection from a competent electrician. Second, the HVAC system will primarily be composed of split-type air conditioning units, one supplied for each private room in the residential units and every space needing air conditioning, such as administrative spaces, entertainment spaces, and communal spaces. Third, as an emergency electrical system, a 2,000 kilowatt diesel generator will act as a backup electrical source during blackouts to supply electricity towards the facility's critical functions such as HVAC systems in residential units, food preparations, and administrative functions. Battery-powered emergency lamps will be installed throughout the structure and spaced efficiently as backup light source. However, the generator will still supply electricity for lighting in the residential units to avoid upsetting the residents and causing accidents. Number 3. Acoustics and lighting. First, noise reduction is necessary to avoid overstimulation among the residents. Patients need a safe space to isolate themselves from unnecessary noise. Although complete soundproofing is not very efficient, installing acoustic foam panels within spaces with high noise is more than enough to control noise levels. Second, reverberation control is also necessary to improve conversation quality, as aging can impair hearing. Spaces vulnerable to echo at any given moment can be sparsely installed with polyester fiber acoustic panels to control echo and reverberation. Third, lighting design for dementia includes considering that these patients require above than average luminance, around 750 lumens, in order to see better. The lighting needs to be properly spaced to remove dark areas and visual blind spots, as people with dementia associate dark corners with something sinister and malicious. Fourth, another aspect of lighting design for dementia is a dawn and dusk lighting system. To maintain the internal clock of the residents, light can be used to signal the movement of time throughout the day. Warm light during the early morning, then white light during the day, and finally warm light again during the late afternoon. Fifth, task lighting is needed to help the residents with their daily routines. These are additional lighting implements in spaces that see high use, such as mirrors, sinks, dressers, etc., or areas where residents read books, do their hobbies, or indulge in entertainment. Task lights can be wall-mounted or found on tabletops, such as lamps or sconces. Sixth, natural light is both healthy for the residents and for the energy bill. Taking advantage of the sun can improve lighting conditions, increase quality of life, and enhance energy efficiency. Most spaces within the facility will employ daylighting through wide windows, clerestories, and skylights. An additional system for the facility, a navigational system, is added to specifically help with creating a better space for the patients. This composes of landmarks, a thematic system that are easily understood and recognized that will notify the resident which space they are currently on, and a system of signs and guides to show where corridors lead. The signs are to have larger and simpler font installed at eye level and ornated with simpler symbols, while color-coded line guides along the hallway floors will show the way towards important spaces, may it be the toilet, their private room, staff room, kitchen, or etc. Finally, we will tackle the design translation and features of the project. The philosophy behind the design follows the famous line of architect Louis Sullivan: form follows function. Generally, the saying means that the shape of the building should mainly relate to its purpose. The statement became a famous philosophy by modernist architects, implying that form or ornaments in a building is unnecessary and superfluous. However, removing the ornament can often lead to bare and hollow buildings that expresses no character or statement. The saying, however, is interpreted by Sullivan a little differently. Sullivan never omitted forms in his architecture. Rather, he complemented his works with ornaments inspired by Art Nouveau and Celtic Revival. He kept his buildings simple in terms of principal mass, but he still gave them expressive details. Following the philosophy, architecture must never sacrifice its spaces for the sake of form, as function must always be the center of design and planning. This is extremely critical for a facility that will house patients with declining mental cognitions. Every space must be planned efficiently, keeping in mind who will use it and how will it be used. However, form must not be abandoned because it is also an important aspect of architectural character. One just has to meld it along the function. The challenge with designing spaces for dementia is how patterns and textures can lead to disorientation and overstimulation, but then the lack of atmosphere and character causes understimulation and depression. This is where form needs to be carefully evaluated to complement the function. A few things to note of is how dementia patients respond to design. Vibrant colors and beautiful patterns produces positive effects to their mental state, but recognizable images or patterns such as flowers, insects or faces, and false textures such as a wooden pattern on a smooth surface causes high amounts of stress and confusion as they interpret these as the real thing, but then their sense of touch registers a different interpretation, which is why it is recommended to stick to abstract patterns instead. The arrangement of spaces follows radial planning, where the site is planned and organized around the central point, the central garden, from which the other buildings branch out. This places the central garden at the top of the hierarchy of spaces, while being easily accessed by the multiple spaces around it, fitting its purpose as the hub of daily activities and a center for socialization. The ease of access between spaces is an important aspect of the project as a nursing home for the demented. The layout of the project is inspired by the umbrella. In connection to dementia being an umbrella term for numerous illnesses, the umbrella is also an important tool that provides protection and shade either from the beating sun or the cold rain. This creates a connection to what the facility shall serve as a protective space for those with dementia and shading them, giving them a comfortable and safe place to live their life. The circular form of umbrella also lends well to the radial planning applied to the site, that even when dismantled, a radial pattern can still be created. Here's a short evolution of form. The umbrella first multiplies, the focusing of shape and addition of green spaces, the explosion of shapes and rearrangement, and finally, refining the layout. Lastly, the architecture of the building will be based on traditional or vernacular architecture. One of the most notable features of the reminiscence therapy for dementia is the replication of their past to calm the mind, as it has been noted that mental decline often affects the latest memories, with the person remembering only their past as they slowly age. Incorporating traditional Filipino household features in the residential units can help with making the residents feel more comfortable, giving them a recognizable environment to reduce disorientation, confusion, and anxiety. Traditional Filipino homes are often a variation of the nipa hut, the bahay na bato, chalet, or American-inspired bungalows. More often, the houses are a mishmash of the styles above, defining the vernacular style of the architecture in the country. The project will have to take inspiration from these various forms of styles and plan accordingly. This marks the end of this video presentation. Thank you for watching and have a good day.